Hi everyone. Today we will be learning about one of the body fluids that is essential for the smooth functioning of our tissues and carry out the important function of providing living cells with nutrition and eliminating harmful substances produced in our bodies. Yes, today we would be learning about blood, and that is mainly the common used body fluid by most of the higher organisms, including humans. Now, let us discuss about the objectives of our topic. We will be able to understand the different components of blood, and second objective is that to understand the different functions of blood. Now, let us discuss some basic facts regarding blood. As we all know that blood is a transporting fluid because oxygen, nutrients, hormones, they are all being transported through various parts of the body. And the second point is it is a fluid connective tissue. So fluid connective tissue means the matrix will be fluid. It has a fluidity nature, which means that in that fluid matrix there are specialized or highly specialized cells that are suspended in this liquid matrix, and these cells have a particular function, and the fluid matrix of the cell is also called as plasma, and the specialized cells have another name that is known as formed elements, and they are of three types, which are they: RBC, WBC, and platelets. And as we all know that blood is red in color, which is due to the presence of a pigment known as hemoglobin, and the function of hemoglobin is that it helps in oxygen transport. Clear? Now, blood is slightly alkaline in nature, which means that the pH is between 7.35 and 7.45, and it makes up about 7 percentage of the body weight of a human being. If you can see the picture on your right side, it's a figure that shows the components of blood. So you can see clearly that 55 percentage of the total blood comprises of plasma, which is a pale yellow color fluid. Then erythrocytes or the RBCs, they make up 45 percentage of the total blood, and you can see a small gap between plasma and erythrocytes. It is actually the buffy coat, which comprises of leukocytes and platelets, that is composed of one to less than 1% of the total blood. Now we will be dealing with plasma. So as we discussed in the last slide, I told you that plasma is a pale yellow colored fluid or a straw colored fluid. You must have noticed straw, right? That is being given to the cattle as fodder. So plasma is a pale yellow colored liquid, which is also straw colored liquid, that is also viscous in nature. Viscous means what? Yes, it is slightly thicker than water. That is why we always say that blood is thicker than water. It is because of this reason, because plasma is viscous in nature, and 55 percentage of the total blood contains plasma, and in this 55 percentage of plasma, 90 to 92 percentage is water, 6 to 8 percentage is the plasma proteins, and these plasma proteins are of three types: albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen, and each of these plasma proteins have a function. As in the case of albumin, it helps in the osmotic balance, globulin helps in the defense mechanism, and fibrinogen helps in the clotting of the blood. There are other factors, that is fat, urea, salt, sugar, hormones, then some small amount of minerals like sodium, potassium, calcium, bicarbonate ions, chloride ions, etc. So this is the composition of plasma. That is 90 to 92 percentage water, 6 to 8 percentage the proteins, which are they? Albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. There are also other factors like fat, urea, salt, sugar, hormones, and other ions like bicarbonate ions, chloride ions, sodium, calcium, magnesium, potassium. These are all the minerals that are present inside the plasma in small amount. Now, there's another term that is called as serum. Serum is the plasma without the clotting factors. Okay, it's a transparent fluid. So serum, it is the plasma without the clotting factors. Clear? Okay. Next, we are going to learn about formed elements. And these formed elements nearly constitute 45 percentage of the total blood. And they are of three types. Which are they? RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. And these formed elements, or these three cells, they are mainly synthesized in the bone marrow, or we can say that it is from the bone marrow. RBCs, WBCs, and platelets take their origin. Clear? So the picture given below here is a different formed elements, and we will be learning each one of them in detail. So first we will learn about RBCs, or the red blood cells. There's another name for RBCs. It is also known as the erythrocytes. Okay, erythro means what? Red. So that's why it is known as red blood cells, or RBCs. And it is the most abundant blood cell in the body. Okay, almost 5 million to 5.5 million of RBCs per cubic millimeter of blood. You can say that an adult human has on an average 5 to 5.5 million of RBCs per cubic millimeter of blood, and it is also formed in the bone marrow of the adults. Now, when we look at the structure of a human RBC, we can see that we know that RBC is a cell. Usually, what does a cell have at its center? Yes, it has a nucleus. But RBC, or the human RBC, does not have a nucleus, but it has got cytoplasm and all the other components, and the shape is a biconcave shape. Now, the reason for this absence of nucleus and biconcave is mainly for the transport of oxygen. Okay, so that biconcave disc with no nucleus, the peculiarity of that type of RBC is mainly to carry oxygen. Okay, but when we look at the RBC of camels and llama, they have nucleus. Okay, now erythrocytes are red colored. It is due to the presence of an iron containing complex protein called hemoglobin. Okay, so RBCs, they are red colored because of the presence of a iron containing complex protein called hemoglobin. A healthy individual should have 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin in every 100 ml of blood. Like for example, if you take 100 ml of blood for your testing, we do the HB count in the lab to see if you are anemic or not. So if you are having 12 to 16 in that range, irrespective of men or a woman, if you have within 12 to 16, you are a healthy person, or else you will be under the category of anemic. Okay, so a healthy individual should have 12 to 16 grams of hemoglobin in every 100 ml of blood, and RBCs have an average lifespan of 120 days or 4 months. Okay, 3 to 4 months is the lifespan of RBCs, and after the formation, or after that lifespan gets completed of 120 days, they get destroyed inside the spleen. That is why spleen is also called as the graveyard of RBC. Clear? So after it completes its lifespan of 120 days, it gets destroyed in the spleen, which is also called as the graveyard of RBC. Now we can see a term, erythropoiesis. Erythropoiesis is the process by which the red blood cells or the erythrocytes are formed. Okay. And the role and the function of RBC is mainly the transport of respiratory gas. Clear? So the main unique feature, the unique feature of a human RBC is it is devoid of nucleus and it has got a biconcave shape. It is mainly for the carrying of oxygen to different parts of the body. Clear? Next, we'll be dealing with WBCs. Another name is leukocytes. So what's the full form of WBC? White blood cells. From the term itself, it is there that they are colorless in nature. But the only difference from RBC is that they are nucleated in nature and the number is less than RBC. Okay, if you take per cubic millimeter of blood, only 6,000 to 8,000 is present, whereas RBC is 5 to 5.5 million, but WBC it is only 6,000 to 8,000. And comparing the lifespan, it is generally short lived. And there's another process that is only unique to WBC, that is diapedesis. Diapedesis means we know that this WBCs, they are usually amoeboid in shape. You must have seen amoeba. What it will do to grasp the food, it will use the finger like projections called pseudopodia. Same thing here. In order to create an inflammation in the body, what it will do is that the WBC will enter the walls of the capillaries. It will squeeze, okay, like in an amoeboid fashion, it will squeeze into the walls of the capillaries. That process is called as diapedesis. Clear? Now, based on the presence or absence of granules in the cytoplasm of WBC, we can categorize WBC into two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes. I'll repeat it once again. Based on the presence or absence of granules in the cytoplasm of the WBC, we can divide them into two, granulocytes and agranulocytes. So granulocytes means what? Those white blood cells which have granules in their cytoplasm. Mainly three cells are there: neutrophil, eosinophil and basophil, or in short you can take their first letters NEB. Okay, so granulocytes, three cells, which are they? Neutrophils, eosinophils and basophils. Now agranulocytes means what? Yes, absence of cytoplasmic granules. So only two of them are there, monocytes and lymphocytes. Okay, now we will be looking into each one of them in detail. So first we will just go with neutrophil. What can you notice there in the neutrophil structure? Yes, it has three lobes there. Okay, usually neutrophils are 3 to 5 lobed structures or nucleus. That is why they are also called as polymorphonuclear. Okay, why what is the reason for that? Because they have got 3 to 5 lobed nucleus. That is why they are known as polymorphonuclear. And neutrophils are the most abundant cells of the total WBC. That means in 100%, 60 to 65% of the total WBC is which one? Neutrophils. Okay. And the cytoplasmic granules, they are stained with neutral dye. That is just an additional information. The cytoplasmic granules, they are stained with neutral dyes. But you should know the lobes. Okay, how many lobes are there? 3 to 5. Mostly, probably it is 3 to 5. In the picture here it is 3 lobed nucleus. Okay, and the function is phagocytosis. Phagocytosis means what? It can engulf the microorganisms and destroy it. Okay, clear? So that is about neutrophil. Now next one is eosinophil. So eosinophil means what? Eosinophil, we must have all heard this term. It's now a trend. It's a disease. You cannot say it's a disease, but it's a disorder also, because if the amount of eosinophils increases in the body, a situation called eosinophilia arises. That means every time we will be prone to sickness. That means even if we get the smell of something that irritates, usually when we get that smell we would enjoy it, but a person having eosinophilia, immediately he would be having cold because of the increase in the number of eosinophils. And here the nucleus is bilobed, and it constitutes about 3% of the total WBCs. Okay, and the function is they are non-phagocytic. That means their number will always increase during allergic reactions, and they also have an antihistamine property. Clear? Now the next one is basophil. When you look in terms of percentage, basophils are the least. Okay, among the total WBCs, basophils are the least. That is, they have 0.5 to 1% of the total WBCs are basophils, and they have a twisted nucleus. Their functions is that they secrete histamine, serotonin, heparin, and they are also involved in inflammatory reactions. Okay, so that is the types of cells involved in or that comes under granulocytes, that is neutrophil, eosinophil and basophil. Okay, now next we will be explaining or learning about the cells that are included in agranulocytes. Which are they? Monocytes and lymphocytes. So monocytes, they are the largest of all WBCs. In terms of size, monocytes is the largest, but in terms of percentage, it is neutrophils. Okay, so monocytes is the largest of all WBCs, which have a kidney shaped nucleus. It's clear from the picture given there. They have a kidney shaped nucleus, and it constitutes about 3 to 9% of the total WBC. Okay, 3 to 9% of the total WBCs are monocytes, and the functions are almost similar to that of neutrophils, where they are phagocytic in function, and hence they are also known as scavengers. Okay, so neutrophils and monocytes both are phagocytic in nature, and you can say that neutrophils are also known as scavengers. Okay. Now next one is lymphocyte. Lymphocyte is a very common term that we see. T and B lymphocytes. They are the two different types of lymphocyte, that is T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. And the nucleus is the largest. And compared to all the WBCs, the nucleus of lymphocyte is the largest. It constitutes about 25 to 33% of total WBCs, or you can say that it is in the second position after neutrophils, then lymphocytes. And the function is to produce antibodies and also important for the immune response of the body. The lymphocyte count should always be normal, or else our immune system will get affected and we would be more prone to diseases. Clear? So these are the different types of WBCs. So we just summarize about the types of WBC. So based on the presence or absence of granules in the cytoplasm, WBCs are of two types, granulocytes and agranulocytes. Granulocytes, which are they? Neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil. Agranulocytes, monocyte and lymphocyte. Now the last formed element is the platelets, also known as thrombocytes. Okay, so platelets are the thrombocytes. They are cell fragments of the bone marrow cells. Okay, they are the small cell fragments of the bone marrow cells, and they are also non-nucleated, and the count is very important. If you take per cubic millimeter of blood, almost 1,50,000 to 3 lakh, that is the number for platelets in a normal person. Okay, so 1.5 to 3, you can say, per cubic millimeter of blood, that is the normal count, and the lifespan is 9 to 10 days, and the function is to dissolve blood clots. Clear? And the reduction, if there is a reduction in the number, it can lead to clotting disorders like hemophilia. There are a lot of diseases that can that can be affected to a particular individual if the number of platelets decreases. Okay, so it should be between 1.5, that means 1,50,000 to 3 lakh. Okay, so these are the different types of formed elements we learned so far. Okay, now next one is the functions of blood. Even though we know there are different functions, we know the functions of blood, but still we may only know few of them, but we should know there are lots of functions. Even if we are living here, it is because of the presence of blood in our body. Okay, even if you don't consume food for a day, or if you don't consume water for a day, you can survive. But if blood is less in our body, you cannot survive for a day. You may survive, but maybe less than 24 hours. Okay, because blood is such an important or a vital body fluid for the survival of the human beings as well as all organisms. Okay, so functions of blood, the first one is to deliver or transport oxygen, nutrients to all body cells. Okay, that's the first function. It is to transport oxygen and nutrients to all body cells. Second one is it will transport all the waste products from cells for elimination. We are not knowing all this, it is already happening in our body. Understood? So it is the blood that transports waste products from cells for elimination. Then transporting of hormones is one of the most important factor, especially for endocrine glands. We know that endocrine glands, their secretions are hormones. So hormones are actually transported with the help of blood. Then maintaining body temperature. It's very, if I give you an example, if your blood is less, if a person is anemic, you must have seen people, they would be always shivering. Why? Because the sufficient amount of blood is not there. That is the main reason why they feel cold, not because it is winter outside. There are some people during summertime, they would say they are feeling cold, especially people who are aged, people who are having the menstruation, they are more chances of becoming anemic. So to maintain body temperature, blood is very important. And to maintain the pH of the body, pH of the different fluids that we have, not only blood, lymph, all the tear gland, from the secretions of tear gland, salivary gland. So all these, the pH of all these fluids are maintained by whom? Blood. Then maintaining the fluid volume is very important. Fluid volume means not only water. All the secretions have to have a normal volume in the body, or else the body functions can fluctuate. And the last one is to prevent infections. So preventing infection is done by whom? WBC. Clear? So these are the different functions of blood. So I hope it's clear to you. Now let us summarize what we have learned today. So what all did we learn today? We learned about blood. You know that blood is a transporting fluid, as well as it is a fluid connective tissue, and blood is divided into two major sections: plasma, which is 55% of the total blood, and 45% of the total blood is composed of formed elements. Now plasma, again, when you split, 90 to 92% is water, 7 to 8% proteins. Proteins are of three types: albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. Albumin mainly helps in the osmotic balance, globulin helps in defense mechanism, and fibrinogen helps in the clotting of blood. There are other factors like fat, urea, salt, sugar, hormones, and small amount of minerals also are present. Now coming on to the formed elements, there are three types: RBC, WBC, and platelets. WBC again divided into two types: granulocytes, agranulocytes. Which are the three granulocytes? Neutrophil, eosinophil, basophil. And the two agranulocytes, monocytes and lymphocytes. Clear? So with this, we come to the end of today's topic. I hope it's clear to you. A very easy topic. You can learn it in an easy way. Okay, now let us do some questions. Yes, name the two WBCs that are involved in phagocytosis. Which are they? Monocytes and neutrophils. Okay, monocytes and neutrophils. Now what is the function of eosinophils? Yes, they are non-phagocytic in nature, and they also show the antihistamine property, and their count increases during allergic reactions. Now what is the speciality of human RBC? Human RBC is devoid of nucleus and have a biconcave shape, and this biconcave shape is mainly for the transport of oxygen. Now define plasma. So plasma is a straw colored or pale yellow colored fluid which is viscous in nature, and it's composed, or 55% of the total blood is composed of plasma. Okay. Now which is the blood cell known as thrombocytes? It is the platelets. Give one function of blood: preventing infection or maintaining body temperature, maintaining pH, any one function you can write. Chemicals secreted during inflammatory response. Which are the chemicals secreted during inflammatory response? Serotonin, heparin, histamine. Okay, serotonin, heparin, histamine. Now, why blood is a connective tissue? Or you can say why blood is a fluid connective tissue? Because the matrix of the fluid, the matrix of the blood is fluid in nature. It is also known as plasma, and the specialized cells are embedded in this or suspended in this fluid matrix. Now, name the different plasma proteins. albumin, globulin and fibrinogen. Okay. Now next one is find out the odd one and what are the peculiar features of the other three. Basophil, eosinophil, neutrophil, lymphocyte. Yes, the odd one out is lymphocyte. Why? Because the other three are granulocytes. Lymphocyte is a agranulocyte. Okay. Fibrinogen, albumin, globulin, WBC. Yes, WBC is the answer. Why? Because albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, they are all plasma proteins. Now, blood, bone, cartilage, tendon. Yes, blood is the correct answer because all four of them are connective tissues, correct. But blood is a fluid connective tissue. Okay. RBC, basophil, eosinophil, neutrophil. RBC is the answer. Why the other three are white blood cells or WBC or leukocytes. Okay. Now the last question of this session. Which one of the following type of cells lack nucleus? Yes, it is RBC. Also, thrombocytes also lack nucleus. Okay. So with this, we come to the end of today's topic. I hope everyone have understood this topic very clearly. We have also discussed many questions regarding this topic. Thank you.